Good evening, everybody. It's Alan Lowe, and we have another exciting episode of the I Told You Show. You don't want to miss this one, especially if you're a father. And welcome back. In the studio tonight with me is a very good friend of mine who has a very interesting story. So I'm going to hand it over to him. And Jason, you go ahead and start.
So my name is Jason Oriema. I'm a 20-year Palm Coast resident, and I am going through a first of its kind case in the state of Florida, fighting for parental rights to my daughter, who's 7 years old. And we're in appeals court now because the county judge, because of the laws, it's a reputed father law. So in Florida, you have a law, it's 742.09. It's called reputed father. If you marry the mother of an illegitimate child, the marriage legitimizes you as the father.
Right. Now, this hasn't been tried in court yet. I mean, it has in that one, but there hasn't been a successful case yet.
There has been successful cases.
Oh, so they have
Yeah.
what do they call it? Case law that they can refer
case
to.
law, yeah, but not in my unique situation, and I'll tell you why mine's unique. And that's why the judge didn't have any precedent or case law to look at.
And he didn't want to set precedent.
You could tell in his decision that he wrote that his heart was heavy over the decision he had to make. He made it very clear that his decision was going to harm the child and harm all the parties involved. But so reputed father, you marry the mother of a illegitimate child, the marriage legitimized. Biological connection is not necessary, and it's in the law. The law, from what I understand, was to help gay couples that were married have rights to children when when they would get divorced. So the problem with my case is, and the judge says it in his decision, is that there was a paternity test done on my daughter when she was like 6 months old. And so the judge couldn't rule that I was the reputed father if there was a legal father according to the state. Problem is, this legal father never met her, never paid child support, never had anything to do with her, and he's been dead for over a year and a half.
And he was in jail, right?
And he was in prison when she was born, in and out of prison her whole life. He met her for like 1 hour when she was about 9 months old, when he lost custody of her when he got out of prison, and the mother got full custody. And we were already dating by then. We started dating when I was 8 months old, but I met her 6 months old. Has known me since she's been 6 months old. We raised her to believe that I was her actual father, her birth father.
Right.
Like, how long have you known me? You've known me a few years.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't have told you, you would have. The baby was mine.
Well, I actually did think that.
Right, everybody did.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Right. So, I mean, because I've got people that I had to ask if they would be witnesses for us to go to trial, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to go to trial to just prove that I'm her reputed father, and that I just want to have legal rights to her, because I don't want my time with her to be dependent on whether her mother is mad at me or not.
Right, and I understand that.
Which is, what happens.
So what you're looking for, if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're looking for basically is joint custody.
I want 50-50 custody of
Right.
the little girl that I raised as my own since she was a baby, yeah.
And she's 7 now, you said?
She just turned 7
Just turned.
on last week.
So basically 6.5 years.
6.5 years, yeah.
Yeah. So the law that you're working with, that has, now that you've said it, it has precedent,
Mm-hmm.
but having to do with basically with gay couples and things like that. And you're wanting to adapt it also to anybody in any type of relationship that's the non-biological father that has basically been involved in raising the child.
Right. And we're basically asking the appeals judges to clarify that me being involved in the child's life for all that time and her right to have a father should be more important than a DNA test by a guy who never showed up her entire life.
Right.
Because right now the law is favoring his rights and he's not even alive anymore. And,
So wouldn't his wouldn't his rights terminate upon death?
you would have thought. We tried to file a petition to terminate his parental rights, but it was dismissed with our order for for the reputed father status. And then here, I mean, this is here it is. So applicable case law fails to provide a situation where there exists a clear reputed father, which is me. It's clear, the judge said, that I'm the only father the child's ever known, and a prior determination of paternity. It is also noted that the natural father has been for some time deceased, separating this instance from the cases that examine the pitfalls of illegitimizing a child. But Florida law dictates that only one man can be a child's legal father. And in this case, it's that guy. So therefore, the court is bound to grant a judgment denying me the ability to move forward as a matter of law.
So in a gay couple's case, let's say it's two guys,
Mm-hmm.
then somewhere there would be a mom
Obviously.
that gave birth, but they would be able to, if the mom's out of the picture, she was a surrogate mom,
Mm-hmm.
but still the mom.
Right.
The DNA test would prove she's the mom because she
right,
had the
yes.
kid. But the mom's out of the picture. The two guys have the baby or are raising the baby, and then they break up. And so then the one that no longer has custody of the baby could then fight under this law to gain custody,
Yeah.
a portion of custody.
Portion of custody.
Right.
Yes. And that's how the law has been used before.
Right.
Um,
So then my question would be, since that mother's still alive, potentially, and obviously the mother had the child, why is that different than in your case where you have a situation where you've been raising the child, and in this instance the biological dad has passed away?
correct.
So I mean, I'm not a lawyer, obviously, and I have no idea, but it just seems to me that if you go up to a higher level and look down, it's the same pattern to me.
Yeah.
To me. And is that what you're appealing towards?
Yes, and I think that the judge wanted it to go to a higher cut. I can't say what he wanted, but if the appeals court agrees with us, it will set precedents, and
Right.
then another father or mother, because it happens to mothers too,
Right.
that are not biological mothers, it will just set precedent. So now the county judges will have something to go on, and then that's it. And it
I
doesn't have to be a
understand.
fight.
In most cases that, again, I'm not an attorney, so when I say most cases, I mean just the ones I know about.
Right.
The mother is favored, and so it makes it difficult on the dad's end to gain ground. And most municipal, local judges and so forth, they don't want to set a precedent law because they then put their reputation out on the line to have whatever that decision was challenged.
Right.
And nobody wants to do that.
Right.
So I can understand why they're then pushing it up or wanting to push it up, wanting to have you push it up
Right.
to an appellate court where that's what they do. They make those decisions and then they send it back down.
Correct.
So, and that's basically where you're headed.
Yes, that is
But-
where we're headed. And what we pretty much knew, like even though we have a very strong case, we knew that we were probably going to go to
Yeah.
appeals court. Most of the cases that have used this law, I think it was like 70% of the cases were won on appeal through the appellate court.
Sure.
And then that's what set precedent for it. The original case, McGovern versus Clark, It was two women who were married, and then they had two babies prior to getting married, two babies after getting married. The trial judge said the two babies from before y'all got married, no custody. The two that were born during the marriage, custody. So they went to the appellate court, argued that she raised the child as her own even before they were married. That was the whole plan the whole time, for them to be a family together. The kids grew up knowing her as mom, and the appellate court reversed the judge's decision, sent it back, and let it go to trial.
Right.
And then in trial they won.
And it would seem to me that, you know, with two moms having these children, somewhere there was a guy involved.
Obviously, yeah.
So
that's where they put the part B of the law, which is no biological connection is necessary.
right, and that's what you're working under.
Right. That's, you know.
Well, there's another part to what you have going on, and that is that there's a cost involved.
Yes. A huge cost that I didn't understand. I thought like just the regular, you know, divorce is expensive and it's heartbreaking.
Well, they say marriage is 10 grand and divorce is 40.
Yeah. And that's just in dollar amounts.
Yeah. Oh, the emotional toll. I've been there too.
Yeah. Not something I ever would have volunteered to go through, for sure. But if I have a chance to be a father in my daughter's life, legally, permanently, like, I have to try everything that I
Sure.
can do. And
And also what you're doing eventually will help out
other
other
dads,
other
and
parents.
moms.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically it's going to change for, like, you know, there are step parents. Like, that's technically what I am, a step parent.
Right.
But I was more than a step parent. You know, I changed diapers, I made bottles, I dropped off at daycare, I taught her how to walk, how to talk, fed her, you know, bathed her like I was her daddy.
Right.
She knew me as daddy.
Well, if you're going into a relationship, you have to
Right.
assume that role.
Right. And that was discussed when we got into the relationship. It was discussed, like, because I was like, well, what do I do when she starts talking? What is she going to call me? Is she going to call me Uncle Jay or Mr. J or Stepdad J? And it was like, no, you're daddy. So you're going to be daddy, because it was a package deal. And I said, yeah, that's what I want. And I was promised that that's how it would be. And even after the separation and during the divorce, I was promised that. You know, when I first got the divorce filing, you know, I was sent a text message saying, hey, just heads up, I filed for divorce. I don't want you to be surprised when you get served. I was like, cool, okay. My first response back was, is this going to change my time with my daughter? And I got a paragraph back saying, you're her only dad. You're the only dad she's ever known. That will never change.
Right.
Divorce is not going to keep you from being her dad. And
And things change.
and you know, things changed, which is why we're here to begin with.
Right.
Um,
So one of the things I mentioned earlier was a little bit of a financial issue.
yes.
So you are in the process of setting up, or have set up,
A
a GoFundMe.
Yes, I did. I had to get permission from my attorney and permission from the Florida Ethics Board. My attorney talked to the Florida Ethics Board, and it's set up in a trust with my attorney. So all the donations like go directly to that trust for the appeals case.
So you see no penny.
It doesn't go through my bank account. I'm not listed on it. I'm listed as the organizer. But if you look at the GoFundMe, it says Jennifer McKee is the beneficiary. That is my attorney.
Oh,
So
okay.
it goes into her trust. So I don't have any access to it. There's nothing I can't, you know, go and get gas or anything like that. That's
Right.
not what it's for. It's just, and it's not for the divorce case. It's strictly for the appeals case. Because
So the divorce case is still ongoing.
yes, right.
Right.
Well, we want to try and get this appeal taken care of before the divorce is finalized, because there's some legal rules right now that keep people from moving away or getting remarried or adopting while we're still in the process of the divorce. Once the divorce is finalized, they can move to another state or what have you.
Which would make visitation extremely difficult.
And it would be very difficult to get them back into Florida to go to trial
Sure.
for appellate court. And even if they rule on my side, then how is Florida going to enforce, time sharing? So
Yeah.
the goal is to get the money that the appellate lawyers want for the retainer before the divorce is finalized.
Is the amount of money that you're looking to raise mentioned, the total amount mentioned in your GoFundMe?
Yes. So it was originally the appellate lawyers wanted $20,000 retainer just to start. My attorney was able to talk them down to $10,000, and she would remain to do most of the legwork on the trial.
Right.
And then they would knock it down to $10,000. And so that's great, $10,000, cool. How do I get it? I don't know. My credit cards are maxed out. My credit is, and I can't sell my house.
Right.
I've borrowed money from every family member that I can, and I don't know if the GoFundMe is going to actually do it or not, but I would regret it for the rest of my life if I didn't try.
So what we'll do then is on this podcast, we'll put up some information that you sent me that people can look at, and if they're interested in helping out and donating, they'll have the link to it. We'll put that up.
Yes, that would be amazing.
And from my point of view, I know the parties involved, and I like everybody involved. My thoughts here are parental rights, not only just you, but others that get into a situation where they've basically raised or helped raise a child for a number of years and then could potentially be completely cut out of the kid's life.
Right.
And I have been down that road. It didn't work. I fortunately was able to stay in my son's life, but I can see where it would tear somebody apart emotionally, financially. It's already tearing you apart financially, to go through that. And so for dads out there, this is a way to help you if you ever find yourself in this situation. Nobody gets together and gets married expecting to get divorced.
Right.
That's just, it's not part of the thought.
Right.
But having agreements up front, like you had, I think they should be carried through.
Right. It should be honored, and really, it boils down to the best interests of a little 7-year-old girl.
It would have. Now, if you were in jail and stuff like that,
Right.
Okay, different story.
Right.
But you've been there. You've been
100%.
trying. You've been.
Right. And we
bringing
were
the
still
kid up.
sharing 50-50 custody for 8 months after the separation and divorce. And then I filed for parental rights through this case that I found. And I don't know if that's what upset her or what, because I was never even told why.
Right.
I dropped my daughter off at school on a Monday morning. We were sharing her from Wednesday to Wednesday, a week at a time. I went to the school later that afternoon to pick her up from school. And I called up the office ladies at the school that know me, because I've been going there for years, and told them, hey, will you put her on the car rider line? Because I'm not the bus. I'm going to pick her up today. And they put me on hold for the first time ever in 9 years. And 5 minutes later came back and said, we're really sorry, but you're no longer able to take her. The other parent came in and said that you're not the biological parent, and we don't know. We're really sorry. And that was how I found out.
Right.
From dropping off my little girl and saying, hey, baby girl, I'll see you after school, to never being able to say goodbye, never talk to her. All her clothes, toys, school uniforms, book bag, phone, everything just left. Never got a message from the mother, never got told this was going to happen. Tried to contact them, text, phone, email, like what's going on? Like just totally ghosted. And it's so I have no idea what, I know how hard it is for me and how much it's hurting me and my family, because it's not just me, it's my son, which is her brother, since she's a baby.
Biological son?
My biological son, which is her stepbrother, but
Right.
she was raised to believe like everybody's related the same. 8 cousins, aunts, uncles, my mom, her grandma, you know, this kid just lost, 12 people of her family, without a goodbye, without anything, without even a reason. Like, if something was going on, like she was being abused or like, anything, like I could understand, okay, even if the birth father maybe was still alive and got his act together
Right.
and was maybe going to be in her life one day, I could see not letting me adopt her because of that or have parental rights to her. But like, there's nobody else. It's me. You
Now,
know?
one that was an interesting thing you just brought up. So, let's jump ahead, make a couple of assumptions. Let's assume appellate court agrees with you. It comes back down, and you get custodial rights. Does that prevent the mother then from getting married and the child being adopted by somebody else and you losing parental rights, or is it permanent?
Yes, it's permanent. It would give me parental rights just like as if I had adopted her, which
Okay.
is what I'm trying to get. And if she was still a baby, maybe that would be different. But she can still have a stepdad in the future that'll love her and
Right.
take care of her. And there's nothing wrong. Kids need as many people in their corner loving them as they can.
Sure.
I was a dad to one and a stepdad to another, and the difference was very clear. But the emotional trauma on me and my family and on this little girl for just losing everybody like that far outweighs the chance that the mother might remarry a guy that's going to want to take this child at 8, 9, 10 years old and then adopt her a few years later. Like, he can
Yeah.
still be a stepdad without adopting her. Like,
Sure.
I would have no way to stop him from doing that. Just like the point is that she couldn't stop me from being able to see my daughter, which is what she's able to do right now.
Right.
And like, if I would have known like this is what was going to happen, if it was talked about like before we got married, that, hey, if we divorce, you're not going to be dad anymore, like that would have changed things. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done what I did. I wouldn't have fallen in love with a little girl and raised her as my own, because that's what I did.
I don't think I would have even gotten married at that stage if you weren't going to be able to have the whole package.
Right. And that's what it was. That's what it was agreed on. And so I never, ever thought that I would be in this situation and fighting this battle. But sometimes most battles that people have to fight, they didn't pick. It's laid
Right.
upon their feet, and you either do it or you don't. So this could go all the way to the Supreme Court and change the family laws in Florida. And if that's what I have to do, I'm going to at least try.
Now, do other states have different laws that affect this? Is it Florida that's specific in this?
Florida, I think, is leading the way for fathers' rights. Florida is actually the best state. Like, there's a lot of other states I could be in, and I would have no chance. Florida has this law, the McGovern versus Clark reputed father law. It's been around since 2020. And Florida also does 50-50 custody automatic at divorce. It's not weighed all the way to the mother anymore like it used to be.
Right.
And that's a new law that DeSantis did about 2 years ago.
Mm.
So the divorce, it starts at 50-50 in the best interest of the child. So if you want more than 50-50, you have to prove why it's in the child's best interest.
Right. Right.
I just want a chance in court to prove why it's better for me to remain in her life. That's all that the appellate judges have to do. Is say, give them a chance to go to trial and prove it. That's all I want. I just want to go to trial. Like, I'm not, obviously, like, let me prove my case and I'll prove it.
Right.
Everybody that I have known throughout this time that has known my daughter and me and her mother, every single person I've asked has said, yes, we will go and testify for you. We will be a witness for you. From pastors of churches to school teachers to the office ladies at the schools, daycare workers, nursery workers at church, friends, family, people from the recovery community that we know. Nobody said no, because if you hear what happened,
Yeah.
like it's about this little girl. It's about nothing else. Like, her worst situation is no dad.
Correct.
I'm fighting to stay in her
To
life,
stay in her life.
pay child support, let her inherit half of my, assets when I die, and just that she'll be taken care of.
Right.
That's it. And she'll be loved.
Right.
You know?
And so there's the way you're approaching it is that there's no. This is not an animosity battle between you and the mother in order to and the child being a pawn in the middle of a battle. Is that
Not
correct?
from my side.
Right.
I offered everything.
Right. Well, what I'm getting at is because people are going to be looking at this and determining whether or not they want to donate and help. But I want them to be sure to understand that the direction that you're going, because this is in your head, not mine, the direction that you're going is child's best interest to keep you as a father figure in her life since you raised her, and has nothing to do with
taking her away.
No, or any kind of
absolutely.
animosity towards the mom.
And I've been going through this for, over a year now. And, I've had to like ask myself, like, what are you doing? Like, people have said to me, like, why are you doing this? That's not even your biological child. And it's like, but that's mine. She's mine. I mean, she's mine. And if I didn't fight like this for her, I don't deserve to be her dad anyway. Is how I look at
I'd
it.
have to agree with that.
And it's, if I lose my house, so what? I can get another house. If I lose my truck, I lose my truck. I don't want to lose her. She's the only one in the history of this planet. And she's a daddy's girl. Like, she loves me. If you've seen her around me, like, I dote on her and she dotes on me. She loves her daddy. And like, that's what breaks me up the most is like, I don't even know what she's been told. I don't know if she's been told that I forgot about her. I don't know if she's been told that, like, I didn't want to be her daddy anymore. Like, I have no idea.
Right.
Because I never even got to say goodbye to her.
Well, I'm sincerely hoping that that's not the case, that she's not becoming a pawn in a war from your side or the other side.
Yeah, I hope so too. But I haven't heard from the other side, so I don't know.
So you don't know. Well,
they would not they would not discuss it at all between the lawyers and attorneys. It was not allowed to be brought up. Their position is I was a stepdad and nothing more. And that's what their position is. Which easily, if we can go to trial, I can prove that that's false through evidence, not hearsay.
Well, I got to tell you, knowing you and the other parties, this makes me sad because I thought the divorce part to start with, because I thought you guys were really cool. I still think you're really cool. I still like both sides because I have no reason not to like both sides. But for those of you that are watching and listening, we're gonna set up here in a minute. I'll post up onto this the link if you feel like you want to help out for the case in order to attempt to get shared custody. It will be there, and all I can say, I wish all of you the best of luck and the best outcome possible for this, which I know you're thinking the best outcome possible is for custody for you. Apparently the other one's thinking the other way, but really it should be about the child and the best for the child.
And so let me read this real quick.
Sure,
this
go ahead.
Is what the judge wrote. It said, the court is bound to follow the law, which requires an outcome that is harmful to the mother, respondent, and forever the child. It frustrates the court's ability to then render a decision on the respondent as the reputed father.
Obviously, the judge didn't like what he had to do.
No, he didn't at all.
And I think what you said earlier, that this gets up to an appellate court and comes back down in front of the same judge, I think the judge will rule differently based on those statements.
I believe so too. I believe he'll do what's right for the child and everybody involved.
Right.
I mean, yeah. So,
well, I don't want to see harm to anybody. I wish you the best of luck. And again, for all of you listening, the link will be right up now. And please take a moment to click on it, think about it, and if you believe in your heart you should help out, go for it.